So today we're going to be doing the tower lasso guide. And as I mentioned in my last video, now that we're in the open world, we're going to have a lot more access to the Spartan cores. And you can see I'm going to be going into the tower with almost fully upgraded shields. So I was able to get a couple more cores, and I'll be showing you where I got those here. So there's going to be 3 total cores that you can get at Outpost Tremonius. So you want to make sure that after you clear out that whole area, when you've done Outpost Tremonius, you're going to be grabbing all the 3 cores there. You don't want to miss one here. Now, when we're going back to Fob Golf that we're currently at, we're actually just going to head straight down south to where there'll be another Spartan core. There's going to be a couple enemies next to this one, but in all honesty, you can usually just get away with walking up, grabbing it, and not even bothering to fight, and you should be fine, and you won't have too much trouble with that. And even further south, we're going to move down to the entrance of this little crevice here, where we'll grab our next Spartan core. And this one's super important because it's going to have a sniper rifle right next to it, so we're going to grab that and keep our rocket launcher. And there aren't going to be any enemies here, so you're not going to need to worry about that. You can just run in, and you'll fast travel back to Fob Golf, where we'll get our next Spartan core. And that Spartan core is going to be a little north in between Fob Golf and the tower that we're going to be heading to. And again, you can just run back, grab that one, and from there you can upgrade your shields to what we're going to be using here in this video. Now from that Spartan core, you can just start and make your way towards the tower, but in this footage I'm just going to show you how to get there from the Fob Golf. So we're just going to get our mongoose, and we're mostly just going to be driving past everyone. And I'll kind of speed up the footage here so that way just follow my path here and until we get a little bit closer to the tower. Now once we get to this next little fork in the road, we're going to make a left here, and we're just going to drive past these enemies right here, and we're going to make our way over to these rocks right in front of us here, and we're going to start scaling this little cliffside here, because we want to approach the tower more on the left side, because that's where the objective we're going to be going towards first is, on the tower. So we want to save ourselves some time and not have to clear out every possible thing in order to get there. So once we get on top of the mountains, we're going to try and pick people off with our sniper rifle, mostly aiming for jackal snipers, as they're going to be a huge threat in this section. There's going to be, I think, 4 or 5 of them in this level, but you're going to want to pick them off, and they're mostly going to stay in the little sniper tower. So you can see I'm getting shot at right over here. So there's going to be one in that little tower, bunker, whatever you call those things, and there'll be one on like each corner of the tower section. So there should be about 4 of them. But we're just going to clear out that first little section of the level there, that little platform, because we're going to be later hopping onto that, so we want to make sure that that's safe for us to go onto later. And we're just going to finish picking off this brute here. I'm just double checking to see if I can't see any more sniper jackals. I was able to get one more on there. Now once we've confirmed that platform's safe, we're going to hop onto that grav lift there to make our way onto the main wall of the tower base. And again, we're just going to double check to make sure there aren't any jackal snipers taking aim at us. And after we go down this little ramp, we're going to clear off this bottom section here, because they're going to be a nasty group of people that are going to be launching rockets from above if we don't. There are going to be a couple brutes and grunts, sorry, that are just going to be over here mostly. So you just lob your dynamos and finish them off with your 2 rockets, and you should be good with that. Again, can't be too careful with these snipers. You want to really make sure that you're not going to be getting shot at here. See, I thought I saw one there, but it ended up just being a brute. Wasn't able to actually get any kind of shot on that one, unfortunately, but... And I did need shields here, so I figured I'd take the opportunity of a solo grunt there and get my shields back. So any opportunity you see, if there's just a single grunt or jackal, or even if there's an injured brute nearby, melee them in the back, melee them somewhere, so that way you can get your shields back. And just picking off who I can for the most part, just trying to go for the easier target so I don't have to waste too much time here. Really trying to get this one jackal sniper out here, but he doesn't like to show himself, apparently. So after we've decided we've had enough to clear, we're going to drop down so we can trigger the grav lift closing up, so that way we can continue on with the mission. So once you go below that little bridge there, it'll trigger the grav lift closing up, and then we're going to immediately turn around and start killing the brutes and grunts that are going to be around here. And that building that's going to be right up that ramp here, or this little hill, is the building we're going to have to go into in order to start the process of reactivating the grav lift. So we're just going to keep throwing our dynamos and keep shooting our rockets and picking them off one by one. Now these guys are very grenade happy, and the brutes always have rockets here, so you got to be real elusive and you make use of your grappling hook, so that way you don't keep getting exploded with it. And once that door opens, there's going to be a couple jackals and brutes that are just going to be chilling inside that building, so be careful not to just walk right in front of that door or else you're going to get blasted. You want to make sure you keep stunning as many people as you can so that they don't shoot back at you. And see, I just took some damage there, so I'm going to have to get my shields back at some point as well. And once you make your way into the building, there's going to be a couple brutes and jackals at the bottom there, like I said, but there's also going to be two brutes sitting at the top. So once you get your rocket reloaded, you're going to walk up the ramp just a little bit, and you're going to be throwing your dynamos. I was lucky enough that they both decided to group up, and I was able to kill them both at the same time. But normally one group will hang back right next to where this button is, and you can just pick them off one by one.
The lockdown protocol.
So after you activate the terminal, we're going to head down. And like I said, I needed shields in this one, so I'm just taking the opportunity to kill some of these guys so I can get a melee on one of the grunts here. But you can just skip ahead a couple seconds here until after I kill these guys if you don't need shields. But if you do, you can just follow in my footsteps here and just melee that grunt real quick and then run back in. So now that we activated that, we're going to run up and back on top of the wall we were just on and go back to this little sniper tower, where we're going to try and kill the one of the jackal snipers that we didn't quite finish off earlier. However, there are going to be a bunch of berserker brutes that are going to be running around, so we're going to need to kill them quickly too, because you don't want three of them sneaking up on you and start attacking you without any kind of retaliation here. So again, we're just going to stun them while we try and reload our rocket launcher here after killing one of them, and you can just get into a fist fight with the other one real quick after damaging him a little bit. We're going to reload our rocket and then get ready to snipe the other jackal here, finish him off. Once we realize the coast is clear, we're going to actually hop down below this landing bay looking thing. And you can feel free to grab this Mjolnir armor pack here and get your consumable that way, or cosmetic that way, I mean. And then we're actually going to walk below and we're going to grapple up on top of the next section here. So after you grapple on top of here, we're actually going to look to the left there where a bunch of the other brutes and our next objective is going to be. Then we're going to grapple up to where we sniped that one jackal at. And once we get up there, we're just going to do our same type of strategy here as after some of the brutes land. We're going to throw our dynamos at them and start lobbing our rockets and try and kill as many as you can here. And you're going to need to kill almost everyone on this platform, otherwise it's just not going to be safe for the next part. Again, just use the cover wisely while you lob your dynamos. And then finish them off. If you don't happen to kill them with the rocket, switch to your sniper so you can finish them off. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of brutes here, a couple jackals, and a couple grunts. So be extra careful because almost all the brutes will have a rocket launcher, so you want to really make sure you're utilizing your cover efficiently. And I lost quite a good bit of shields here, so I'm actually going to try and hop down. And I wanted to melee that grunt, but I ended up just accidentally headshotting him, so didn't get to finish him off. But after we activate the grav lift, I'm actually going to run over here so that way I can get the other grunt and get my shields back that way. And see, he threw a grenade, so I had to wait a little bit before I could go in. And now that while the grav lift is opening up, we're actually just going to sit tight and just hide in the little corner on these boxes until the grav lift is activated, as we're not going to be able to progress through the level until it's activated, so we're just going to wait until it's safe. It won't be too long of a wait, and see it's already open. And as soon as it's active, we're just going to go right in. Now, for some reason, I wasn't able to actually get the next armor ability, the sensor, and I ended up just turning around and sniping some of the grunts at the bottom, and then when I was done, I was able to get it. So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know if you have to kill a certain amount of people, but that's what happened to me, and I don't know why that happened.
Deployable threat sensor. It appears to lock onto and highlight any targets.
So now that we got our threat sensor, this next section actually isn't going to be too bad. It's going to be pretty easy up until the boss. We're just going to be actually spamming our threat sensor for the most part to see where the enemies are. You just got to be careful for the one berserk brute that's going to rush you as soon as you're done with that cutscene. But after that, like I said, you just kind of shoot your threat sensor around so that way you can see where the enemies are behind each corner. And wherever an enemy is, you just throw a dynamo grenade at them and finish them off with the rockets, and you rinse and repeat this until the end of until you're up to the boss fight. Yeah, so once you go up the ramp on the next section, we're just going to be checking on each corner with our threat sensor, and again, just dynamo, rocket combo, every single one. Just going to be mostly brutes, grunts, and a single elite that's going to be in this section here. You see that one took a while for it to kill him. I wasn't quite hitting him with direct rockets. It wasn't really in a good position for me to see. Just like that one, it was kind of awkward to shoot at. You want to also be careful that you don't like shoot the rockets right in front of boxes that are going to be launching towards you, because just like the first level in Warship Jebraken, you don't want to like launch a box and have it come back and hit you, because you'll die to that still too with the way physics work in this game. So just keep that in mind. Just be a little bit more mindful of where you're shooting your rockets, but for the most part it's pretty straightforward. And there's also going to be plenty of opportunities with a lot of the grunts here and even the brutes that you can get your shields back, and it's highly recommended that you do so right before the boss here, because you don't want to have to re-clear this section before the boss fight. Yeah, and this brute here also has a rocket launcher, so you don't want to like peek around the corner too much. You don't want to get hit by that. It will instantly kill you. And just like any other situation, the elites won't always die to just 2 rockets. You can see he did there, but that was actually because I shot the box accidentally and the box launched into him, and due to the way the physics works, I ended up killing him. But if you don't get that situation, and more than likely you probably won't, all you have to do is you hit him twice with a rocket, and then you switch over to your sniper, and you want to try and get a headshot. And if you can get a headshot, one headshot and then a body shot will kill him. If not, just keep shooting him with your sniper, and 3 shots should be enough to kill him if you don't get any kind of headshots. And then you can grab your Spartan Core. That'll be the next one we get, and there'll be one more in this tower mission, but that'll be for after we get the boss fight done. And see, I just wanted to finish off that last guy with a melee, or at least get a melee near the last guy, just so I could start the boss fight with full set of health, or shields. So, now that we're on the boss fight, our main strategy we're going to be doing is we're going to be going back and forth between the threat sensor and the grappling hook. And the threat sensor is super important here because since the boss is going to be invisible, it's going to be a necessity in order to see where we're going to be shooting at in order to damage the boss. We're also going to be going back and forth between that and the grappling hook because we need to avoid the boss's sword slashes and all the grenades he's going to be throwing. Now, one also tip that you'll be seeing me do in this video here is I'm actually going to shoot the threat sensor directly onto the boss, because even in between pulses, since the threat sensor will stick onto the boss, which is very fortunate for us, we will essentially have full visibility of him, because even when it's not pulsing, we'll still have that giant glowing blue dot that's just going to be emanating from the sensor itself, so we can at least see where he is at all times. Now, when it comes to actually damaging the boss, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be, again, using our dynamo grenades to stun the boss and try and shoot our rockets directly at him. Now, note that the dynamo grenades will not stun him every single time, as there is a long cooldown period. I want to say it's probably about 5 to 7 seconds-ish, maybe a little bit more, in between his stun duration. So you can't stun him in that period of time after you've already stunned him already. So it's a little bit tricky running around. That's why we need the grappling hook, because we're going to basically just hit and run this boss the entire time. We're going to run in with a dynamo, our 2 rockets, and then use our grappling hook and try and run away in order to avoid all of his damage that he'll be putting out. Now, even if he does hit you with the sword slash, it won't be a game over, as if you have the amount of shields I do in this video, which is 1 below the max, and if you've gotten all the cores that I showed you at the beginning of this video, you will have enough for it. It won't kill you right away, which is very fortunate, and normally you can immediately melee him after the sword. There are a couple times where he'll do 2 sword slashes back to back, and that's a little rough, but unlike the previous boss in Foundations, this one is a lot easier to get a melee off on him, especially if you use the grappling hook to grapple directly towards him when his sword isn't out. It's pretty much just a free hit. One more strategy you can also do is there's going to be a ton of exploding canisters next to him, so take advantage of those. If you see him run past and you're in that window of opportunity where you can stun him right next to those canisters, and then when you shoot your rockets at the dude, the explosions will also trigger the canisters to go off as well, which just doubles the amount of damage you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing an insane amount of damage each time you hit him. And with that, we're pretty much just going to be rinsing and repeating that entire thing, trying to get as many direct hits as possible in order to kill him. And one more difference between this boss and the boss in Foundations is that this one does not tend to fly around as much when you shoot the ground with a rocket, so it's a little less reliable, but he will consistently be launched far with the rocket launcher when he has a sword out and he's rushing at you to try and hit you with that. So when he has a sword out and he's lunging to hit you with a sword, if you can't get away, you can also just shoot a rocket at his feet and he'll go flying away that way. So that's one more thing you can do as well. And after you're finished with the boss and as you're getting ready to leave the tower, there's going to be one more Spartan core that we're going to be grabbing, and it's going to be at the base of the tower on the ground here. Now, it'll be safe to go down here, as after you finish the boss fight and you're done with the mission, most of the enemies will be despawned, except for a few. Then they're going to be the ones that are going to be all the way in the back if you hadn't happened to already clear them out. But the only real threat that's there is one brute with a rocket launcher, and it's going to be pretty easy to avoid, so I just ignored him here. You won't have too much trouble ignoring him and just running past it. But it's going to be in this building here. If you just followed my path from jumping out of the tower, it's going to be in that little building there. You go grab your core, and you're ready to move on to the next mission. And that is how you complete the tower on LASO. I hope you found this video enjoyable and helpful. And if you did, feel free to catch my streams. I don't have an exact date on when I'll be starting it, but it'll be around just after Christmas time. So if you wanted to see more up-to-date guides and see how I'm going through on later levels, feel free to catch me there. And link will be in the description. And as always, I would appreciate any kind of feedback, as I would love to be able to improve my videos for any kind of future guides, and hopefully help you guys streamline on what you would like to see here. And until next time, see ya!